Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back with another video, and this is our almost last team building video for Series 13. So I put out a recent post where I said I would do one more team building video for Series 13. I lied. We have two more because I thought of another idea after this one. So we got two more coming up, and today we got the second to last one, and we're going to be looking at Zamazenta. So many of you know, if you've been following the channel for a while, right? Zamazenta back in Series 10 was one of the best Series 10 teams I ever made, or just one of the best teams I ever made in general, right? Just because of the set that I put on it, along with the other partners that can benefit from Zamazenta. And the idea is like Zamazenta is just more of a supportive restricted, right? In the way that, you know, you're not going to be dealing like big damage with it, but you can use Zamazenta to help its partners deal big damage because you have a lot of support moves with stuff like coaching and Howl, right? And back in Series 10, we used the Howl set where you can boost not only the partner's attack, but also Zamazenta's attack, right? And that just made everything just deal more damage. But this time around in Series 13, all right, now that you're not limited in the number of restricted, now we can make other big restricted legendaries hit hard and also bulky with the coaching boost, right? Because, you know, before Series 13, you really didn't see Zamazenta because, you know, it just wasted your restricted slot. But now that you don't have that limit, it's now going to be one of your better supportive restricted options, right? Because you can't just have like all offense, right? You got to have like some support, some defensive backbone to your team. So this way you have a little bit more flexibility in how you want to play a certain squad depending on the matchup, right? So Zamazenta, the main thing here is it's got coaching, which is really nice. So it'll help your physical attackers be bulky on the defensive side and also deal a little bit more damage because you're giving it a +1 attack boost, right? Now, from here, where do you want to go with Zamazenta? So the other thing is, you know, stuff like Groudon is really good, okay? Because like Groudon, you know, if you want to take on Zacian, you need a little bit more defense than this. Like, yes, it's pretty good, of course, base 140 defense, but like you want Behemoth Blade to like at least be a 3-shot, you know, technically. So, you know, if you can get like these coaching boosts going, then Groudon just, you know, can do very, very well against the Zacian stuff. And then something that can do well with Groudon and, you know, take benefit of the sun that can also benefit from the coaching boost is, I think, Ho-Oh, man. Like, you just like never really saw stuff like Ho-Oh and Zamazenta in previous formats, right? Because again, they took up your restricted slots and there were just more stronger options. But now in Series 13, now they have good viability, right? Because you're not limited with the number of restricted slots. And Ho-Oh actually does really well against a lot of the meta stuff just because you get access to max airstream. You have a stronger max flare against those big steel types like Zacian, like an opposing Zamazenta, like a Melmetal, like a Magearna. And, you know, just Ho-Oh is just really, really nice. Now, the only main concern you have is, of course, electric type attacks and, of course, Kyogre stuff, right? Well, that's why you have Groudon on your team, because you can always pivot your Ho-Oh into Groudon just to soak up those electric attacks, and then you can change the weather against Kyogre by swapping in Groudon's Drought, right? So there's the benefit here, but also what you can do with Zamazenta to help alleviate the spread damage from stuff like Kyogre and like Glacial Lance and Astral Barrages is just go with something like Wide Guard, right? And this is something that is very common now on Zamazentas in Series 13 and started to pick up a little bit more speed towards the end of Series 12 when people were actually trying to consider using Zamazenta. But yeah, this is it. Like Wide Guard just shuts down, you know, you're the strongest spread moves in the game, and then your partner slot like Ho-Oh or Groudon can just, you know, go for big damage and punish the opponent for going for such a spread move, right? So, and you know, things like Ho-Oh, Groudon, they can do a little bit better in these kinds of formats than previous formats, just because like there's less instant, there's less land, there's almost no Landorus running around, so not as much intimidate spam. So, you know, in terms of like them being able to deal out physical damage is really, really nice, and all the more to that damage with the coaching boost, right? So, you know, that's the idea here with Zamazenta, Groudon, and Ho-Oh. So really nice. You can lead Zamazenta Ho-Oh, you know, coach Ho-Oh, or you can lead Zamazenta Groudon, coach the Groudon, but, you know, really, really nice in terms of the damage you can output while giving it some bulk. From here, I think grimmsnarl also makes sense. So, like, I really like grimmsnarl in these kinds of teams because, you know, yes, you're adding bulk, but why not add a little bit more bulk with your screens, and then now you get access to light screen, right? And I really enjoyed like Zamazenta grimmsnarl leads just because like, you know, back in Series 10, like you could just make grimmsnarl like super bulky and then just hit hard with like these spirit breaks. And if they want to bring their Zacian and lead it and put pressure on your grimmsnarl, you can just pivot out into like Ho-Oh and soak up that behemoth blade and then coach that slot. So now Ho-Oh's in a really good position next turn, right? Against the opposing Zacian. So really, really nice here. And then just the value of grimmsnarl just goes without saying, right? You know, Spirit Break is really good into like Yveltal, good into Palkia. You know, both of those things don't want to, you know, have to deal with grimmsnarl. And then you also have like speed control with like scary face stuff, thunder wave stuff. It's just like my favorite, of course, in Gen 8, right? Yeah, we know that if you've been following the channel for a very long time. So then where do we go from here? We got a Sun Core with Groudon and grimmsnarl and Ho-Oh. Zamazenta can make all of these stronger and beefier. So then from here, what we need something a little bit more for Kyogre, right? Because Ho-Oh doesn't want to come into that Kyogre matchup, right? But Groudon, grimmsnarl, and Zamazenta do. But then what's our last, well, not like last option on the team, but what's another good offensive force that we can put? And that is going to be Life Orb Zekrom, believe it or not. Yeah, I mean, we used Zekrom already. Not used, well, we made a team with it, which we have yet to showcase on the channel. But yeah, Zekrom, again, now you got a Dragon Fairy Steel Core for that. And that's always really, really nice. And then now you get another recipient of the coaching boost from your Zamazenta. And if Zekrom gets these good boosts, then Zacian just can't threaten it with Play Rough and it just gets zapped by Bolt Strike, right? Kyogre can't do anything unless it's running Ice Beam, and not all of them are running Ice Beam. So Zekrom can very much handle Kyogres there. You get access to Max Wormwind to drop physical attacks. So the only thing now that you have left to worry about is stuff like, you know, an opposing Groudon, because like Zekrom doesn't want to deal with it. Zamazenta doesn't want to really deal with Groudon. Ho-Oh can burn it, but you know, you still have to take a rock type move from Groudon, and you know, even with screens and the coaching boost, it's still very, very difficult. So this is why on a Sun team like this, like if you want to deal with like opposing like big Groudon teams, I still think you need a Venusaur, man, believe it or not. So the Venusaur is really good. You can just put pressure overall, you know, with those grass type attacks. Just chip away at the opponent with G-Max Vine Lash. You have Sleep Powder pressure, and then things like Groudon, Ho-Oh can just clean up from the back. Even Zamazenta a little bit to a degree, right? So yeah, this is the team that I think can do really well, right? Because you know, if you have that screen support and then all of a sudden now you just add coaching boosts to either like Groudon, Ho-Oh, or Zekrom, you're doing fine, right? And then Venusaur mainly wants to come in those Groudon matchups where like you just have to put pressure on it, because otherwise that matchup becomes a little bit more trickier, right? So that's the idea behind the team. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to build the rest of the team in terms of the movesets, the items, and the EV spreads, just like what we've been doing for a couple years now, right, on the channel. So Zamazenta as our first GIF, then we're going to go with Groudon and Ho-Oh as our Sun backbone. Grimmsnarl, you know, just another kind of backbone to the backbone, the screen support. And then Zekrom, really, really good into Kyogre matchups. Also gets access to Max Airstream, by the way. And then Venusaur, really, really nice secondary max option in a Sun team that can put pressure against like an opposing Groudon, right? And even Kyogre to an extent as well. So now let's just go ahead and go back into Zamazenta, which we are already here, and just finish off the moveset and the EV spreads. Okay, so now here with Zamazenta, what we want to do is, of course, we're still going to have Behemoth Bash, right? You still got to have one kind of stab move going, and, you know, that just goes without saying, right? And then from here, your last move, I think Snarl is really, really nice, right? Because now what you can do is you do like super big damage into stuff like Calyrex, and then you make it -1, and now it just doesn't do a whole lot of damage, right? I know you have Wide Guard, but at some point you got to deal damage. All right, you can't just keep clicking Wide Guard, and eventually they can always just play around it, right? So you want to have like a secondary option for it, and this is a very standard Zamazenta moveset that you have here. All right, then for Groudon, Assault Vest Groudon with screen support is really, really good. Of course, Precipice Blades, relatively standard set here. Fire Punch, again, another good strong fire move. You can also opt for like Thunder Punch, you know, just so that you can benefit off of Zekrom max move to set terrain, or even Groudon can set the terrain for Zekrom if you choose to max the Groudon instead. But you know, Fire Punch is also a very, very nice move. Okay, then from here, Shadow Claw is really nice, getting those defense drops for Zamazenta, Ho-Oh, and Zekrom on the team if you have to do it. I think Shadow Claw is really nice, and again, more pressure against the Calyrex stuff. And then your own rock move, Stone Edge, you know, really, really nice option into stuff like you know, Charizard or other flying types that just don't want to take a ground type move, rock type move, I should say. So really, really nice there. And after a coaching boost, you know, this Stone Edge can just like one-shot a lot of things, especially if you get a crit, right? So, you know, take that for what you will. All right. Ho-Oh, so Regenerator bonus right behind screens is really good. You can always pivot Ho-Oh in and out, potentially stall like Dynamax options, and then, you know, just get your health back as you keep on pivoting it, right? So that's the whole idea behind Regenerator there. But this is going to be a weakness policy Ho-Oh, right? And which is really, really nice because you have a lot of support. You have the coaching boost, you have the screen support to mitigate those super effective damages, and then activate your policy, and then now you start hitting like a truck. Sacred Fire, ideal. All right, and then Brave Bird, of course, your max airstream move. And then from here, Earthquake is actually really nice, right? Because now you get access to max Quake, you can put pressure on Regieleki, you can put pressure on Zeraora, and then even Instant, right? You can put pressure there. So really, really nice option there. And then Protect, right? You don't really need Recover so much in this kind of format. But if you want Recover, you're more than welcome to have Recover. But the Earthquake is a very nice little tech option here. Spirit Break, Grimmsnarl, again, like we said, Light Clay, screen supports Grimmsnarl. So Light Screen and Reflect, your dual screens, make the team overall very bulky. And again, here you have the option for like Scary Face or Thunder Wave. All right, I won't, you know, judge against either of the two. I think they're both good. It's all like personal preference. But just for the sake of the video, I'll just put like Thunder Wave on it. You know, because I think in testing, I was originally testing out Thunder Wave. So, but yeah, if you like Scary Face, then go for it. So Zekrom here, of course, Bolt Strike, your max electric move. You're really good against Kyogre, can just one-shot it. Also pretty good against like Zacian, especially if you're Dynamax. Life Orb Zekrom hurts, by the way. I don't know if you guys understand that. Life Orb Zekrom hurts. You can also put pressure on Yveltal, right? And that's the value behind Zekrom, right? You put pressure on Yveltal and Kyogres. So it's really, really nice there. And then with your Dragon Claw, your Dragon move, you're able to go for Max Wormwood and weaken Groudons, weaken Zacians, and it's your stab move, right? So all the more power to it. Do Wing Beat, also really nice. So you can break Focus Sash this way. And again, it turns into max airstream as well, right? So you can make your Groudon, Ho-Oh, or even Zamazenta really fast because you have access to max airstream. And then in your last slot, you just have Protect, right? Because this is VGC, Protect is always very good. Venusaur, again, so now this is where we're gonna run our Focus Sash item here. And then just to have like at least another turn to potentially click Sleep Powder if you mess up the first time, so you get a second chance. But of course, Leaf Storm, your G-Max Fine Lash move, Earth Power, good into like Zacian and Kyogre stuff in case you want to call like a potential switch. And then Weather Ball, really nice, turns into Max Flare in the Sun, which is great against Zacian stuff, right? So very standard Venusaur set, right? But now that we've got all the items and movesets, now we can focus on the EV spreads and how we want to do them. So let's take a look at that next. Okay, so with Zamazenta, right, you don't really need attack, technically. On this Zamazenta set, you don't really need attack, so you're just going to put 1 point of attack there, but you do want to have, like, some speed on this thing, just to outspeed certain threats. And it's up to you, what do you want to outspeed? You can go, like, right up to here. You can go, like, 169 or even, like, 168, just to outspeed something like a Charizard and then go for a Snarl, or go for a coaching boost or something. You can do it that way. You can invest a little bit more into something like outspeeding, you know, maybe like Whimsicott stuff. But I like to go to this speed tier. Where is it? Right here, 195, just so that after an airstream you can outspeed the Venusaurs, right? Especially in the Sun. So there's the value there. And then also this 195 can also outspeed other slower Adamant Zacians. So that's always really, really nice. But yeah, this is my speed tier that I'm trying to hit with Zamazenta, so I'm just explaining it there. And then from here, you just want to balance out your bulk. So I just wanted up to about 192 HP. This is okay. I mean, and then from here, I just wanted to like balance out the bulk. So I have 72 EVs left. 191 is like a good benchmark. But you know, I just went to 192 just so that I can have a little bit of a balanced bulk in terms of defense and special defense, right? So no real like super damage calc I was doing. I just wanted the speed tier. And then from there, I just wanted to balance out the bulk. And that's really all there is to it for this Zamazenta spread. The other thing I also wanted to make sure was that I had an even number in my defense, right? Because you get a rusted shield, not rusted shield, you get a dauntless shield defense boost, which means it's multiplied by 1.5. And I wanted a whole number, or I wanted an even number rather, so this way I can get a whole number after the stat boost calculation. Because if I have something like this, then I'm going to end up in a decimal, and then it'll just round it down. So I don't get the full benefit of the EV when I include it in there. So I want that even number there. And then, you know, just special defense is just the leftover stuff. So just throw it in there. And it's a nice even number, good for max Quake boost. So there's my explanation there behind my Zamazenta spread. Groudon here. So I just want Groudon to be, you know, of course, adamant here. And then just second EV bump here. 156 investment is the second bump for Groudon here. And then just enough speed where I can outspeed like the typical Groudons which are going to like, you know, anywhere from 112 to about 116. So I just go to 118 just to outspeed them. And then, you know, with an assault vest, I don't need like super like heavy special defense investment. I just need a little bit, but I still want that even number. So this way I can, you know, get the best bang for my buck with the assault vest. Again, it's the same idea that I explained behind Zamazenta. You want an even number here. So this way with the 1.5 boost, it's a nice whole number. And then honestly over here, you can just max out the HP and then just have a little bit of leftover defensive bulk with something like this, and it's okay. It's a pretty standard Groudon set, does what it needs to do. Alright, so now the one thing I want to say with Ho-Oh before we do the spread is if you notice that Ho-Oh and Zekrom, they have the same speed, so you have to remember that they may potentially speed tie. Now that being said, most games, if not all games, you either bring one or the other. You don't really bring both at the same time. So keep that for what you will when you try and play this team. So if you still want to make them the same speed, fine, because you understand you're not bringing both at the same time. But if you're not comfortable with that, then of course you have to make one faster than the other. And for Zekrom, this is the one that we want to have the most speed, because you want to at least have that, you know, force the speed tie against the timid Kyogres, right? At the very least. But yeah, all right. So since we're on Zekrom, we'll just do the EV spread for Zekrom first. A little bit of life orb optimization here, just a tiny bit. Just 1 point in the defensive bulk, and then the rest just goes into attack like this, right? This is a pretty standard, very normal Zekrom spread. Nothing else needs to be said here. The Ho-Oh one, so we have a little bit of bulk on Ho-Oh this time. And again, it is going to be slower than Zekrom, but I just want about 149 investment, and I meant to put this as Jolly. There we go. So 149 investment. That's a good amount of speed here, but again, after +1 airshade, you outspeed the Shadow Rider, which is very nice. And then you just have that even number of special defense bulk over there, and then the rest can just go into like your HP with something like this, and then I just put most of it into attack. But yeah, this is it. And then if anything, you can go to 176 in your attack stat and just go to 150 speed. So this way you outspeed the speed creepers for Calyrex Shadow Rider. But this is the idea behind my Ho-Oh spread. Again, 191 mark, just to optimize against, you know, Sand Chip or, you know, Hail Chip. And then the even number in the special defense for, you know, the max Quake boost. And then the speed tier for the Shadow Rider, right? So there's my explanation there for Ho-Oh. And grimmsnarl here, okay, same standard grimmsnarl set, but actually this is going to be my secondary set because I don't have Intimidate on the team really, but I'm still going to go careful, and you know, this is the mark that I normally hit, but I'm just going to go a little bit further now because I don't have my Intimidate anymore, and I'm just going to hit this bump here. 1 point speed, that's all I really need, and then of course 1 point in the attacking stat, and then just the rest can just go into like HP and defensive bulk like this. So relatively standard grimmsnarl set. Again, a little bit different than our normal one, just because, you know, I don't have Intimidate here. But yeah, Zekrom we did already. Venusaur, so this is our focus sash Venusaur. So all we really need out of Venusaur is just to, that's jolly, hold on. Just be a timid set, you know, and then just go like a standard 252 set, right? That's really all we need from our Venusaur here. And this is it. This is our Zamazenta Sun team almost, right? Because you got the Sun Boys with Groudon and Ho-Oh and Venusaur. Then you have Grimmsnarl for a little bit more extra support, just like Zamazenta does. And then Zekrom is a big damage dealer on the team and can put pressure on like those Kyogre / Yveltal teams, or even like potentially both. So, you know, against Zacian, very common plan is to, you know, force the end game against like Ho-Oh with finishing off with Zacian or even Groudon. Kyogre stuff, you probably don't bring the Ho-Oh there, and you just rely on Groudon and Zekrom to help you out there with Zamazenta support, and then you bring either you know, Venusaur or maybe Grimmsnarl just to help you out there. The Trick Room stuff, I think you do have to bring the Grimmsnarl, and then just rely on stuff like Zamazenta and Groudon to help you carry that kind of matchup, which is pretty okay if that's what I had to rely on. Because how does the Calyrex, you know, click Glacial Lance when you're clicking Wide Guard, right? It's almost like forced to max, and then we're fine with that. You know, we can always just stall that if we have the screen support. But yeah, this is a relatively standard team in terms of what we wanted to do. So I have one test game here. I don't want to like go super in depth with Zamazenta, but I can at least just show you how it works. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that. But the idea here is what I want to do is I can see that he has 2 dragons with zekrom and Kyurem-White, along with Whimsicott Tailwind stuff, right? And then there is an Yveltal. Look, so like zekrom actually looks really good here because you deal super effective damage against 3 of his mod, technically 4 because we have max airstream, and then we just have to worry about like the Shadow Rider stuff, right? But we're still okay in there in terms of that. But ideally we have a pretty good matchup here. So he goes with Whimsicott Zekrom, that's okay. We go with Grimmsnarl and our Zamazenta. This is always a good lead against whatever he has, just because you know, we have the Spirit Break pressure against either Zekrom, Kyurem-White, or Yveltal. If he brought the Zacian out, we can just repivot out into something else. But Zamazenta looking really good here, okay, in terms of what we wanted to do. So he does max the Zekrom here. He goes for Tailwind rather than something like Helping Hand. I'm just going to get Reflect Up just to mitigate that damage. And look how much it does, just not a lot. And it is Life Orb Zekrom too, so that go figure with that. And this Whimsicott's not even Sash. So now he brings out Zacian, right? So he brings out his other dog. And now he already wasted 1 turn. I mean, he's already faster technically, but we don't really care because we're just trying to stall the max and get repositioned next turn when we get in our other max, right? So I go for Thunder Wave on the Zacian. I'm able to get that off. He goes for an Airstream into my Grimmsnarl. Again, not doing a whole lot. And the Zacian actually goes for the play rough rather than killing the Grimmsnarl. So that's just a free Behemoth Bash for me in that regard. So again, another good turn by us. We're still able to stall another Dynamax turn. We didn't lose any Pokemon, and he's already lost 1, right? So this is his last turn of max. So what I want to do now is, you know, switch out the Grimmsnarl for now and get in my Zekrom here and just be ready to Dynamax it next turn. Now, you might say I can just let the Grimmsnarl die and then just get the free switch that way, but I actually want the Grimmsnarl later on in the end game, where after the Zekrom max is done, I can just click Spirit Break stuff. So I'm going to go ahead into my Zekrom now, and he clicks Protect, so that's great news for me. So that's basically a free switch, and there's another Airstream that went into an Electric type, not doing a whole lot, and I did go for the Coaching Boost here, right? So that's the benefit of being able to pivot and go for that Coaching Boost. That's also another good benefit with Zekrom and Zamazenta on the same team. And now the Zacian is actually a little bit scared because now I can Dynamax, and his Play Roughs and, you know, his Behemoth Blades are almost just like irrelevant now. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And he goes for a Bolt Strike here. I do get paralyzed, which is unfortunate, but so does the Zacian. So I guess it works out, and I'm able to remove the Zacian, which is really nice. And my Zamazenta did get paralyzed. I was going for another Coaching Boost. But here's Kyurem, so this is also not super great. I do lose the Zamazenta here, but because I'm able to outspeed the Kyurem, it doesn't matter because Zekrom is that good. And that's pretty much it. They have nothing left except their own Zekrom, and we still have 3 other Pokemon in the back, including our Grimmsnarl. And this Zekrom's already -1, so yeah, that again, this is another good example of why Zekrom's so good in this kind of format. Just having access to max Wormwind and max even Airstream, even though we didn't click it, is also really nice. And you got to see like the value of grimmsnarl on a team like this, and it just does so well in slowing down everything. It's just really, really valuable. And you know, that's pretty much all there is to it. So again, let's just show the pace one last time, and we'll just get you guys out of here. All right, so there it is, folks. There's our Zamazenta, grimmsnarl, and friends team. So yeah, let me know what you think of this team. We'll probably make this into a rental at some point. I kind of don't want to. I kind of want someone to make the rental for me, just because it saves me a lot of time. But if not, I have to just make the rental myself. And then after this, we do have one more team building video coming up. I thought of another idea, and I want to use it before the format ends. So stay tuned for that last team building video. But yeah, again, if you're someone that's interested in building, again, if you want to also get ready for Scarlet Invited, remember we got the tier 3 sub program in the video description below. So that's a tier 3 sub, which allows you to, you know, sit down in a Discord call with me, and we get to build a team from scratch. I show you how I do my EVs, and I just show you a couple of things that you don't see in the videos, but I do reserve for the coaching services if you do register. Or if you already have a team and you just want me to look at it and just make it better, that's a tier 2 sub. That's a team fixing sub, where again, you can message me either on Twitter or Discord and send me your Pokepaste. I'll take a look at the squad. I'll optimize it based on the current meta, and you know, I'll send it back, and then I'll probably do another team fixing video on that. So yeah, take a look at our tier subs, and if you like any of them, go ahead and do it. We've already had a few already do it for Series 13. I'm surprised that people are playing Series 13. They've actually done some signups, so that's good news for me. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. We'll be back with another Series 13 video, guys, in the next one. Peace out. Have a good night.